comes on, it turns into a massive problem for opposing offenses. And that's the challenge Alabama's going to face this Saturday at 6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time. You can watch the game on ABC as Alabama travels to Athens, Georgia to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Helping us break down this matchup here, our good buddy Randy from How About Them Dogs Cast. Randy, how you doing, man? Good to talk with you once more.
Oh, it is so good to be back on with you fellas. Are you feeling it? Because I can feel it over here.
Is there a palpable buzz around Athens, Georgia right now like there was in Tuscaloosa for last year's game?
Yeah, there absolutely is. It's everywhere you go. Like, this is the kind of game where it starts, especially because we had the bye week. It started last week. We just kind of got through this past Saturday because everybody was downhill towards this week, and you can feel it. There's a little buzz in the air, a little shift in the paradigm. It feels good over here in Athens right now.
I do want to ask you one question about the SEC schedule release last night opponent reveal last night before we dive into this weekend's Alabama-Georgia matchup. You're going to play every opponent in the conference every 2 years. And then, so in 2026, Georgia's got to come back to Tuscaloosa. That's going to mark 3 straight years that Alabama has played Georgia. 2 of those games coming in Tuscaloosa. Just kind of your thoughts on the fact that Georgia's got to come back to Tuscaloosa next season, and then Alabama's heading to Athens in 2028.
Yeah, I love the fact that these 2 teams are playing more frequently in the regular season, right? You've got 2 of the top-tier programs in the top-tier conference in college football. They need to play regularly. I do not love the fact that Georgia has to turn around and come back and go to Tuscaloosa, but I mean, we played there last year. We get you at home this year. We have to turn around and go back next year. I can see the flow of it, but I'm not a huge fan. I mean, it feels like, and there are other discrepancies across the reveals, other teams in the league too, where like Georgia and Alabama have to play. Meanwhile, Texas is missing out on some people. It's just, they did the best they could. But I'm just excited for the games overall. Like, I love the new concept of where they're going about it. And it's going to be hard wherever you go here in the SEC. So just bring on the game, man, and then let them sort it out on the field.
I like that. I like that a lot. So diving into this weekend's matchup, 6:30 on ABC, number 17 Alabama heading to Sanford Stadium to take on number 5 Georgia here. Just kind of, I want to get your initial thoughts on this game because obviously these 2 quarterbacks, they're brand new first-time starters this season in the SEC, although Gunnar Stockton did start the playoff game against Notre Dame for Georgia last season here, but this is the first time that it's really been Gunnar's team, right? This is the first time it's really been Ty Simpson's team, and so what's your evaluation of Gunnar Stockton through the first couple of games as the official starting quarterback?
I think he's been everything that I thought he would be. That was one of the things I harped on all spring and summer was people were wringing their hands about Gunnar Stockton as the number 1 quarterback in Athens, and I just never had a doubt about who and what the young man is, what he's made of, and what he's capable of. Now, I feel a little bit more bolstered in saying that after his performance on Rocky Top, right? Because he had a lot to prove last week when he went up there. And I think he actually answered the bell pretty well. So Gunnar was never a concern for me. Georgia has real issues. They have real places that they can be beaten. But I just don't think that Gunnar Stockton is going to be the reason why that happened. And if you flip that around, I'm very interested to see. I know that you guys went on the road. Alabama went on the road to open the year. But this is the road SEC opener, right? And what is going on in Athens and Stanford right now is a completely different animal than the last time Alabama was here in 2015. So I'm going to be very interested in seeing how Ty and that offense operate inside what is going to be an insane atmosphere in Athens on Saturday.
Stockton was put in a high-pressure situation 2 weeks ago in Knoxville, Tennessee, but even still, Georgia's done, I think, a good job of taking the pressure off of him by kind of leaning on that run game. Ever since Kirby Smart got there, the Georgia run game has been something just absolutely beautiful to watch if you love football. I mean, you can name so many good running backs that have come through that program, even just under Kirby Smart, ignoring the fact that, Todd Gurley was a guy that came through that program. I mean, and Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, DeAndre Swift, and now you've got ETN last season as well, who maybe didn't quite live up to the expectations, but was still a really, really good player. You look at the run game for Georgia this season. Through the first 3 games, they've got 4 guys who have over 100 yards rushing here. Just kind of what has Georgia been able to do? Because I came on your show in the preseason, and I said a concern of me for Georgia is the interior of that offensive line, replacing 3 starters. But just from the numbers, it seems like Georgia's not really struggling to replace those 3 guys from a season ago.
Well, they're doing it by committee. I mean, most people are going to recognize the name Nate Frazier, but he is far from the only one who's carrying the ball for Georgia. There's 4 guys that are consistently getting touches, and currently all 4 of those young men are on pace to rush for over 400 yards this season. And before the year started, I said if Georgia can do that, if they can get 4 that get to 400, that's really good, because that means they're running the ball. They can then play their, run their offense off of it, play action, that sort of stuff. Things will be good in Athens. And so far, that's what's happening. And these are not like garbage numbers. These are guys that are getting real carries in the meat of the game, right? So you got to feel good about that. And the biggest difference is they are way better this year than they were last year in terms of being able to run the football, even with the inexperience and the injuries that they've had so far along the offensive line. And I think that's because they've done some things schematically to give them an opportunity to be, have better position, angles, that sort of stuff, as far as making their blocks are concerned. So schematically, they've done some really good things, but they have just stayed committed to it. Like, they are absolutely stubborn about running the football this year and stopping the run. And I think that's going to be something you're going to witness on Saturday.
Talk to me a little bit about that Austin Peay matchup, because obviously we watch all the games here, but you look at this. You look at the last 2 games for Georgia: 28-6 over Austin Peay, and then 44-41 against Tennessee, where the Georgia defense gave up a lot in the passing game to Joey Aguilar. There, just talk to me a little bit about those 2 matchups, and is there areas of concern for Georgia coming out of those 2 ball games with Alabama next on the schedule?
Well, the Austin Peay game was weird. It's one of those situations where, on one hand, you're happy that you open the year with 2 opponents that you think you should handle. And on the other hand, you already had one big win to open the week, and now you have to get up again for a team that you know that you're better than, with Tennessee looming. So it was weird position in the schedule. But they did not come out and play sharp football, the football that the Georgia Bulldogs fans are used to seeing. They didn't execute at a level that they are used to seeing. And then you throw in the rain delay, and it was just a weird kind of day. And it was still a victory where they won by 22. So it give and take a little bit, but you could really kind of toss it out. And then they go on the road to Tennessee, and yes, you see that they have a question at safety. You see that maybe they have a question at right tackle, and they're playing young guys on that right side of the offensive line. I think that when you spin that forward and you look at Alabama coming into town, the main things that I'm concerned about are exactly what I just mentioned. It's the fact that it's not like you have Malachi Starks and KJ Bolden at safety. You have KJ Bolden and then whoever they decide to put back there beside him this week at safety. And that could be a sore spot for Georgia. I'm not so much concerned about the corners necessarily, but that safety spot, because of the communication that's involved, could be a real problem. And then secondarily, I would say that Georgia's offensive line, again, if they're healthy, I'm really not that concerned. But if they haven't been able to get healthy, then you're looking at a lot of youth and then experience on that right side of the Georgia offensive line. And those would be 2 areas that I would really look at coming into this game that Alabama might be able to, take advantage of. Because clearly Alabama has skill position that can hurt you, and Ty is hotter than a firecracker.
What are we looking at health-wise with Georgia coming into this game? Obviously, we know the availability report, with it being an SEC game, will come out the next couple of days. But where are we standing on Tuesday health-wise for the Bulldogs?
Well, the thing about it is I can't give you a really good answer, because the guys that I'm concerned about, Green at tackle and then Juan Gaston at guard, they're both able to play. It's just how much. So if this bye week is coming at a really good time, and they have really been able to make strides in the rehab, then Georgia's going to be coming into this thing about as healthy as possible. There's really nobody that they're going to be missing or that has been limited. There was some question about Dwight Phillips, one of the running backs, and it sounds like he's fine. So really all eyes are on the right side of that offensive line, specifically Juan Gaston at guard and then Green at tackle. And if they can go, that's going to make a huge difference in Georgia. But outside of that, they're coming in pretty healthy.
If those two are not 100%, they're lining up. The right tackle will more than likely be lined up against outside linebacker Quay Russaw for Alabama. Maybe a little bit of a rotation with Yanze Pierre in there as well. And then at that guard spot, you're lining up against maybe Tim Keenan, maybe London Simmons, a true freshman, or maybe even James Smith there. Looking at that matchup here with the Georgia offensive line versus the Alabama defensive line, it every single year when this game is played, this game is won in the trenches. And it seems like every time Alabama's come in with questions along both sides of the line of scrimmage, Alabama answers the bell, and they play higher than maybe we expect Alabama to. So kind of looking at that matchup there, which team do you think's got the benefit in the trenches?
I said this the other night. If Georgia's healthy, then I would say I would give a slight edge to Georgia, just simply based off of what we've seen from them in the first part of the season. Like, they have been able to get movement in the run game. They have been able to take care of Gunnar Stockton as far as the passing is concerned. Then we had the issues, with the injuries, and that got a little shaky, especially on the passing protection, right? So if they're healthy, I think Georgia has a slight advantage there because Green has played a lot out at tackle. He's a quality player. You have a young man inside who is massive at Warren Gaston, which makes a difference in that run game, being able to move bodies. So if they're there, I like Georgia a little bit better. But that's taking nothing away from the Alabama ability to get after Georgia because, like you said, this game's won in the trenches, and Alabama has, in fact, gotten the better of them the last couple of meets.
Does history matter in this game? Kirby Smart only one victory over Alabama. Georgia hasn't beaten Alabama since 2007. The last time they were in Athens, Alabama won in dominating fashion, although that was last time they were in Athens, Kirby Smart was still on Alabama's staff. But does history matter in a game like this? And do you think that's something that maybe media or maybe even the team itself kind of is keeping an eye on here coming into this matchup?
Well, everybody that's not in the building is keeping an eye on it, that's for sure. But I think old dudes like myself, I'm a full-on Gen Xer. I mean, it can matter to me. It can matter to your listeners out there because that's what fans can talk about, right? But honestly, I think the fact is time is undefeated, and history will not matter in this game because Georgia has over 70% of their roster are only in year 1 or 2 in this program, whether it be freshmen, sophomores, or transfers, right? So when you have that much turnover, and the fact that most of these dudes don't really watch football when they're not playing football, they don't think about it the way I did growing up. I just truly think that these guys are more concerned about what happened last year and the fact that they lost and maybe they want to get a little get back and the fact that they're at home. And you heard Oscar DELP say it this week from the podium. The standard is you don't lose at home at Georgia.
Yeah.
That's just something that matters to them. So I think that is much more prevalent in their mind than any of these stretches that go out over 15, 16 years, that get you to these numbers that fans quote all the time. I really do think that it won't matter to these young guys on Saturday night.
Last two questions here. You mentioned Oscar DELP. Are we going to see him kick an Alabama defender in the face like he did against Tennessee?
I hope you went and found the viral tweet from his position coach, Hartley. I think it was last year. And Oscar said something about accidentally hit the X button. And Hartley was like, X button my tail. He's like, run through their face. I mean, so I hope he keeps himself on the ground, is what I'm saying. I don't like that play, but that's a wonderful thing. And he did get asked about that from the podium. So I think that's kind of funny that that's something that he's gotten to be known for.
That is, that's actually what I was referencing. I saw his question, or saw them ask him about it here at the podium here this week here. All right, Randy, final question here. I'm not going to make you give a score, but which way are you leaning in this matchup? And if you've got to make an official prediction, which way are you going right now?
Okay, well, you guys clipped me last time because I said in the preseason that I had Alabama winning this game. And there's been
a lot of ball played since the preseason, though.
That's right, and I still think that Georgia has to prove it to me. They have to go, like I said, being an older dude, I need you to go show. With all that said, though, I do think that Georgia is in a good position to take care of business Saturday night. I think that the matchups, there are spots they can be had, but overall, I think Georgia is got a little bit of an edge, and I really think that being at home is going to matter. I think that the crowd at Stanford is going to impact the game. in a positive way for the Dogs, and they're going to be able to do enough to get it done Saturday night against Alabama.
Randy, man, I appreciate you jumping on and helping us break down Alabama and Georgia here. If people want more excellent Georgia Bulldog coverage, where can they find you and your content?
Very simple. It is at HBTFDAWGSCAST. How about them DAWGSCAST, right? So you can find us everywhere if you can string those letters together.
Randy, man, I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you this weekend in Athens, hopefully.
Great time as always, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That's Randy with How About Them DAWGSCAST helping us out here. Coming back on the other side, we'll wrap up the loose ends and get you ready for the game with Ryan Fowler here on Tide 100.9 and 1230 WTBC, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports.